If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Hate or hatred or whichever, it's to dislike, yeah, the stage where you don't like something or you are not cool with it. It could be a person or a thing or a situation, yes.
I see hatred as something that irritates one. You know, there are people that get easily irritated by some actions. You don't really like that thing. You don't just like it. And most times, you don't have reasons why you don't like it. So you just hate it for no reason. And you tend to see that you easily get angered towards it. You easily get irritated towards that particular thing. So you tend to hate it, whatsoever it is, be it a person or an action or a particular thing.
Hatred, it's something that is not cool because I want to believe to a large extent the opposite of it is love. And I don't know, people who hate, I think they need to have a rethink. They have to know that it is better the other way around. Yeah.
Everyone in life has anger. It depends how you manage it. It depends how you view it. It depends what you're seeing at a time. Anger is something that you can manage as a person. So if you're able to control your anger, you have the self-management of your anger, it is something that can be dealt with.
Anger, I would say, is a state of one being irritated or vexed about a particular issue or situation.
Well, yeah, I get angry when it's necessary. But I have, over time, I've learned how to control my anger, like.
Sometimes you just have to retrieve, like fall back into your closet, calm yourself down, and then come out a better you. Sometimes you need to sit the person down, talk it over, because that also helps me personally. Sometimes when I'm angry with someone, I could sit him down or her down. We talk it over. It actually calms the nerves or relates more with the person and let the person understand that this and that gets you angry. And please try as much as possible to avoid it so as to save the situation.
You don't get to relate with people. That is one. People are always scared of you. You don't get the opportunities you're supposed to. You don't have this smiling face. You'll be depressed because of anger, unnecessary anger. It's not.
Today, my topic is on hatred, bitterness, anger, resentment. We are in the part of a world where we let things go. It's so funny. It is very, very ironic that I personally think that Nigerians take a lot of weight. We take a lot of pressure. In our marriages, man, we keep everything in. We pray, we fast, we climb mountains. Okay. At our jobs, our bosses, some of them, don't treat us the way that they should. They don't treat us with respect. They don't pay us according to our pedigree. And many a times, they even act like they are entitled to our servitude. But we still stay there, we stick with it, we don't even confront them. Another thing about Nigerians, which I personally think, is that we just let the government, we let people, we let everything just ride on us. We just keep going. Bakomi, no wahala. That kind of attitude. You see, in as much as I could compliment that personality and I could compliment that trait, which means that we are long-suffering and we are full of endurance. Okay, for me, who is an emotional coach, I can tell you that that is a very, very toxic trait. Because what's going to end up happening is one day you will blow up. Whatever you suppress is eventually going to come out. And imagine it is suppressed and pressure is being put on it over and over and over and over again. One day it's just going to burst. And sometimes it could burst at the wrong time, and it will burst in front of the wrong people. You could end up losing your job. You could end up going to divorce court. So here are ways to handle your anger, to handle your bitterness, to handle your hatred. First of all, I'm going to even tell you how to identify it. So I love this statement that was made by Gregory Popcak. He said that bitterness is unforgiveness that is fermented. Isn't that powerful? So it's like kunu. If you leave it out, or zobo, if you leave it out for a while, eventually it becomes, well, it becomes alcohol. You understand? So the properties in it will change. Why is that? Because originally, the original substance of kunu or zobo or all these drinks, there is an ingredient in it that is already strong. So in that case, we will say anger. Somebody offended you. But when you allow it to brew and you don't take care of it, you're not pouring it out, you're not drinking it, you're not doing anything with it, you're not stirring it, you just leave it there. 2-3 days later you come, it wasn't refrigerated, it was just left out there, it's going to spoil. It is going to completely spoil, and it could become toxic. For some people, when they drink it, they find out that they're a bit, they're delirious because now it's alcohol, right? But there are some people that it really, really does harm their stomach because it's too strong. So it's the same thing with bitterness. When you don't take care of anger, when you don't take care of that offense, it's going to harm you. It will destroy you. And you know what? You end up becoming, not only are you now a victim, but you end up becoming a victim to yourself. So it started off with being somebody else's fault, but because you are not handling it in the way that you should handle it, you become the offender. That's why we have murderers around. That's why we have people walking out of their marriages. That's why we have sin around. Because we have not taken care of the root of the issue. So how do you know that you are angry? How do you know that you hate somebody? It gets to the point where you start to wish them bad. You start wishing that they die. You start wishing that they are no longer in your life. You notice that anytime that you think about this person, there is a rage that comes upon you. You have headaches. You literally have depression. You have fevers. All you do is ruminate and ruminate and ruminate. To ruminate means that the thought of that thing just keeps going. It keeps going around in your mind, keeps going around in circles. You can't get rid of this thought. You can't get rid of what this person did to you. Is it me that they did that to? You start wishing evil for them. You start looking for opportunities to revenge. You cannot pray for them. It even gets to a point where you can't pray yourself. Because when you're so full of hatred, you can't pray. And if you can pray when you are hateful, then you actually do have a psychological problem, and I'm not trying to be facetious. If you can function in religious matters when you are full of hate, and you can actually function with hatred, then that means that your dysfunction has become very normal, which means that your abnormality has become normal, which is psychosis, which is an issue on its own that is even bigger than the anger. So when my mother was very ill, I didn't know. I had no idea. I'm going to tell you this story, and then I'm going to tell you how I dealt with unforgiveness. In this case, I dealt with unforgiveness, but I've also dealt with hatred with other people and with other things. But then through this situation, I also learned how to forgive. And I learned tips of forgiveness. So my mom now is struck with cancer. She didn't tell anyone. Well, she didn't tell me. So for 3 years, you're walking around with a death sentence and you don't tell me. and you're praying and you're believing God, and I respect that, but you didn't tell me, and I'm your only child. 2 days to when she was leaving to go for treatment overseas, I happened to go visit them. That's her and my dad. It's not like they called me and say, oh, come over. No. I had just had a missed IVF. That's like when an IVF didn't work, it makes like I was hemorrhaging. So it makes you sick. I was so sick, and so I rushed to my parents' house, which is natural. And I went to them for succor, for some solace. And when I got there, I saw suitcases everywhere. What is happening here? We are traveling to America in 2 days. Oh, what? Okay, so number one, you didn't tell me that you're traveling. Number two, you are traveling in 2 days. So I didn't have any time to prepare. That is if you were even just traveling on vacation or traveling to go minister. And you didn't tell me. Number three, why are you traveling? Mommy has cancer. Not mommy has typhoid, mommy has malaria, mommy has a headache, mommy has kata, mommy has cancer. If you see, I'm telling you the God honest truth, as soon as I heard it, it was like something pushed my body on the wall, and subconsciously, like I was trying to climb up the wall. I was in so much pain. It was like somebody was beating my back, and I couldn't believe it. And because of the kind of person that I am, I'm a very, 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 very loving, compassionate person. I'm somebody who just always wants to nurture, and that's why I'm in the nursing field. I just love to help. I just love to be there for people. Immediately, something switched on. My mother hen switched on in me. My compassion switched on in me. I didn't have any time to be angry. And I looked at her and I gave her a big hug, and I told her that together, me and her, I was going to walk down this long road with her. That night I checked myself into a hotel, and I cried and cried, and the pain was so deep. Oh, the pain was so deep. I was crying from the reality that she was going to die, because she was already in stage 4. And this was triple negative cancer. So I knew that she was going to die. I was already dealing with that reality that was going to happen. It was inevitable. But I was also dealing with the fact that I wasn't told. So I didn't have any time. I didn't have any time to digest this information. I didn't have any time to go through the process. And I didn't have any time to accept it. So I was angry. I was very angry, but guess what? I didn't realize how angry I was until after she died. And that's why I'm telling you that this thing called anger and bitterness and resentment is bigger than you think. You know, sometimes when the emotion is so deep, you can't even make anything out of it. You can't even put a definition to it. You don't even know what's happening to you. And you tell yourself that you're fine. I traveled overseas. I took care of her from my heart. I took care of her like I was taking care of myself. But when she died, I planned the funeral and we buried her. That was when I now started to go through my process. Like they say, that's when I came face to face with the cocoa. You understand? Like I came face to face with it. I realized that I was jilted. I realized that I was betrayed. I realized that I was held and kept away from a very, very vital information. I realized that I was cheated. I'm sure I've said that before. I felt like I was put into a corner where I couldn't do anything about it. And my name is Omenesa. But then before she passed, she apologized to me. And of course, the apology was not going to change anything. It wasn't going to change anything because she had still died. I have more for you. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So we've been talking about hatred. How to identify hatred, how to identify bitterness, how to identify resentment and then how to take care of it. And I was telling you about my mother who passed away from cancer, and she didn't tell me that she was sick. And I had only like 6 weeks to deal with all of this, and then she passed away. I didn't realize that I was angry until she passed away. When she passed away, I now started dealing with ruminations. That the situation kept on playing around in my head. If she had told me sooner, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I was very angry. And you know, when you're angry with somebody who is alive, it is totally different from being angry with somebody who has passed away. Because you really cannot do anything about it. With somebody who is alive, you can call them, you can shout all you want to shout. But like when the person is gone, you even feel guilty for being angry. You know, now how did I take care of that? I gave her the benefit of the doubt. So that is a sure way of handling unforgiveness and anger and hatred and all of that. Is you give the person the benefit of the doubt. Do you know why you are so angry? You are so angry because you took that situation in an absolute way. Oh, they were out to harm me. They intentionally were malicious. Don't think that way. Even if they were really, really that way, don't think that way. Remember that I always say on this show that people are a byproduct of their experiences. So, why didn't she tell me? Number one, cancer is a taboo. A lot of people think that in this side of the world. So, she herself couldn't even get herself to admit that she had cancer, let alone saying it. You understand? She didn't even tell her husband till years later, who's my dad. So, sometimes, like when people hurt us, they too are hurting. You have to understand that. Hurting people hurt people. Okay? The reason why our world is so upside down is because there is a root of anger. And anger is a result of an offense. And an offense is a result of being hurt. Do you understand? So the root of all of the madness around the world is anger. If somebody was hurt. And you don't want to become a victim to yourself. Because yes, you were offended. But when you continue on the path of unforgiveness, when you continue on the path of hatred, when you continue on the path of revenge, you become a victim to yourself. You become a murderer. You start hurting yourself. And you cannot justify it. Hatred makes you physically ill. It causes you depression. For some people, it makes them psychotic because they keep thinking about the situation over and over again. Some people even walk into a moving car without even realizing it because their mind is so fixated on how could this person have done this to me? And it is even more painful when the person is your blood. How do you know that you are full of hatred? When you wish the person evil, when you wish the person bad, when you cannot let go. When you're looking for an opportunity to revenge, that personality of, I will show you, we go see now, that kind of thing, that is hatred. You have gone from hatred, from anger, from a mere offense to hatred, and you are running down a slippery, very slippery slope. Bitterness is anger and unforgiveness that is fermented. I was telling you, it's just like kunu. You leave it out there, it becomes toxic for your system, and you drink it long enough, you could end up with liver cancer, you could end up with lung cancer, you could end up with all kinds of things. When you ingest poison, you will definitely die, and that is what hatred is. It causes you anxieties. It causes you depression. It puts you in a very, very bad place. You become a cynic person. You become that kind of person that is very, very negative. Because so many people have disappointed you and so many people have lied to you. You now think that nobody is ever going to tell you the truth. It's very, very hard for you to trust people. And when you cannot trust anybody, guess what happens to you? When you don't trust people, what happens? People start to withdraw from you. Because not everybody has the patience to be like, oh, what's wrong with them? Let me see the roots. You understand? Not everybody is a trained emotional coach like me, where I am trained to look at a situation and find a way of getting to a gray area. A lot of people are born with absolutes. You know, it's either A or B or A or Z or black and white. You understand? Or water or blood. Like, people are just not programmed to be gray. So, in their mind, this person meant to kill you, this person meant to harm you. Even if they meant to harm you, remember that a sure way of taking care of this unforgiveness and this hatred is to give that person the benefit of the doubts. Because that person too is hurting in an aspect of their life. Remember that hurting people hurt people. Hurting people hurt people. Hurting people hurt people. Always remember that. Now, I've had so many incidences in my life where people who were supposed to be there for me walked out on me, abandoned me, rejected me, forgot me, talked about me, left me, completely left me, didn't remember my birthday, didn't remember important days in my life, dismissed efforts that I had made, completely dismissed it altogether. Let me tell you what helped me. What helped me was that, first of all, I realized that I'm not on this earth for anybody. I'm not on this earth for anybody. I am on this earth to complete the purpose, to complete my dreams, the assignment that God has given to me. When you have that at the back of your mind, you will not have time for frivolities. And unforgiveness is a frivolity that just happens to kill you. It is not necessary. When you can see that people are offending you because they too have their own issues, you will start to have compassion for them. How do you take care of this hatred? Write a letter. Write a letter to that person, really saying exactly how you feel. I cannot believe that you spoke to me like that. After all these years that I have given to you, after I gave you that money, after I stayed with those children, after I traveled, after I made all these sacrifices, after I left school for you, after I did this for you, after I gave my life to you, after I surrendered everything for you, when you express yourself on that paper, I cannot believe that you did this. I think that you are selfish. You are just an idiot. You are this, you are that. Express yourself. Go all the way on paper. And when you express yourself and you get all that venom out of you, because really, it is venom. When you get it all out of you, then you tear that paper up. Do not send it. Because when you send it, when you insult people, you're a maggot, you're an idiot, you will die. God punish you. You're a very stupid man. Shaggy. When you do all of that, you become like the person. In fact, you're even worse than the person because the person never called you an idiot. The person didn't go that far. He offended you, but he didn't call you all those names. And he certainly didn't say that God punished you. And he didn't say your mother. He didn't say all of that. So you become just like the person. So it's self-righteous to be walking around thinking that you're better than that person. Or that you even have a case. You know, I always say that make sure that your hands are clean. So that when you go to court, they won't find anything. Did he break your head? No. What did he do when you said that thing? He just stayed there. Oh, he didn't say anything. You will win the case now. But that you carried an axe or a rake and you started to chase them around. You cut one of their finger. You stormed into their house. You kidnapped one of their children. You started to do things that were maladaptive. You become just like the person and you too will get your time in jail. So it's self-righteous to walk around thinking that you too don't have any issues. You have issues. So how did I deal with unforgiveness in my life? Was I too had to see that, I had to see the role that I played in that person's behavior. Now, sometimes you may really not have played any role. Oh. There are some people who really do go out of their way to mess you up. You understand? But most of the time, yeah, you played a role. You probably didn't communicate the way that you should have communicated. You probably lied. Or you have cultivated a culture with this person to where both of you don't have a relationship. So this person is too scared to trust in you. Therefore, they cannot tell you their secrets. Maybe this person doesn't have a relationship with you. So how are they going to tell you? Have you thought about it that way? Maybe you lied 20 years ago and this person just cannot trust you. Maybe you actually ate up all their money and yes, you apologize to them. So now they're supposed to now give you money again. How now? It's not possible. So sometimes there are past antecedents that have gone ahead of you to completely mess up what is happening now. And that's why we have to be very careful in our lives. We have to make sure that we are light no matter what. So, you know how we turn on the generator? And the first thing, when we turn on a generator, the first thing that we say is, oh, switch off the fridge. Switch off the heater. Because it's too heavy for that light. It's too heavy for the generator. And you will notice that when you turn on the generator and you switch on the fridge and you switch on all these heavy things, the light starts to blink because it's not strong enough. It's the same thing with the challenges of life in this regard to hatred and unforgiveness. Don't put more pressure on yourself when you are already at a deficit, because when you're angry and when you've been offended, you are at a deficit. Pressure has been put on you. So then you now add more pressure on yourself with bitterness. You're not talking to the person. You're avoiding the person's phone calls. You are wishing that the person is dead. You just want to wash your hands. You don't want to have anything to do with this person. All of that gives you headaches. All of that causes you nightmares. All of that gives you cold sweats. Maybe you're not even speaking to your wife anymore, or you stop going to work. Can you see how your marriage will fail? Can you see how you will lose your job? All from one thing. Come on. Come on. Let it go. Let it go. Because if we were born to be light, and if we were born to be shining, and if we were born to encourage people, if we put pressure on ourselves, our light will dim, and eventually there will be pitch darkness, which is what is happening in the world. There is so much darkness because somebody offended you. Come on. Let it go. Write a letter. Make that phone call. Journal. Give that person the benefit of the doubt. Don't be self-righteous. You too have hurt other people. Okay? Forgive them. Forgive yourself. And never drink poison again. Until next time, God bless you. You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.